What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over this upcoming week, more so expectations, what's going to cause some volatility, and ultimately if Lucid could squeeze, and I'm going to go over why. Before we get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So starting off, Lucid's been really showing a lot of signs that it wants to break out. Last several trading days, you've seen a lot of spikes up there, a lot of attention coming from institutions, both on the dark pool as well as a secondary market. So of course, that's relatively good. This upcoming week though will be very interesting because starting off, you do have retail sales. And so essentially that's going to show consumers buying power, and people are going to instantly correlate that with just rate cuts. And of course, speaking on rate cuts, that is going to be coming the next day, Wednesday. So the big day that everyone's been waiting for like a month and a half, 2 months. Like people have been talking about this since basically July, about the September 18th meeting. And so as of right now though, it does show a 50% likelihood of a 50 basis point cut. And that is actually why it did spike. The market rallied on Friday. So between Thursday and Friday, this went from 14% to I think 47%, and overnight it went up slightly to 50%. So if there is a 50 basis point cut for the September 18th meeting, even looking at the November 7th meeting, there is also another indication of a following 50 basis point cut. So potentially 100 basis points between the two meetings, which would be absolutely insane. Honestly, some analysts were saying, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday this week, actually it was Wednesday with CPI data, that the Feds most likely will cut 100 basis points in 2024. So I don't think anyone anticipated this much this fast, but that would be huge for growth stocks and especially the EV sector. So even though Lucid might not be putting anything out this actual week as far as news or stuff like that, it might have a squeeze. And I'm going to go over short interest and stuff like that. People's appetite for risk has definitely improved. So it was under the fear category last week near the beginning part, but it has recovered. So it is under 49. So meaning people's appetite for risk is going to be very much there. So they will be buying a lot of discount stocks, and arguably some people might disagree with it. Lucid could be seen as a discount. Again, all depends on future ramp up and stuff like that. But as far as events this upcoming week, you see that they're just showcasing the Gravity, it looks like at University Village, at the Beverly Hills studio, and also pop-up tour in Troy. So pretty good stuff. This is what Lucid's all about, what they do. They've really ramped this up. I think like 1 month ago, they were relatively tame on this. So the fact that they are showcasing the Gravity more and more, it kind of is still more of a teaser on when it will come out. So the fact that it didn't and wasn't unveiled on September the 10th, so on the Tech and Manufacturing Day, it is fair to assume, based on historic events, that it will be in October, because that's very iconic. It was on, I believe, Halloween, or it might have been the day before Halloween. On October 31st, 2021 is when Lucid did the full-on brand new opening ceremony, the unveil and stuff like that. And the Sapphire, I believe their original projection was supposed to be September, but they did their unveil in October. So October seems to be a big month, so it is again fair to assume that October might be when they unveil the Gravity. So we'll just have to wait and see, but this is kind of what they are doing for this upcoming week. So starting off with some data points. Shorts have been somewhat all over the place. They've been trying to suppress Lucid on a technical level. I'm going to go over technicals in a second, but even on Friday, they did increase 1.15 million shares. So just generally looking here, so you can kind of see a lot of this data right here. So shorts have been really getting in, somewhat arguably overextending themselves. So potentially, like I said, if a 50 basis point cut does come down the pipeline, then yeah, you're going to see a lot of growth stocks go up, because of course Lucid did go up over the last several trading days just because of optimism associated to kind of rate cuts as well as analyst ratings. And a lot of the analyst ratings were generally bearish. So you had a lot of $3, a lot of $4 ratings, which technically are supposed to be for 1 year out. So not the most optimistic, but despite that though, it still caused Lucid to go up. So definitely, if you have that, the 50 basis point cut coming down the pipeline, then yeah, you're going to see a lot of growth stocks, a lot of momentum in the broader market. So again, that could really cause a squeeze despite there being no direct catalyst associated to Lucid. Looking at options, so at the open interest, so Lucid unfortunately did fail to get above that $4 mark, so that 15,000 and everything above is going to be kind of worthless at this point. So you do have 4,000 that is going to be in the money at that 350 strike price, so market makers will have to cover that come Monday or just roll it over through options, but that's a little bit more risky for them, so that's won't really cause much influence in the price. For this upcoming week though, it is a monthly chain, so it is a little bit more active. You have 15,000 at that 4, 14,000 at the 450, and then 15,000 at that 5. So if Lucid does appreciate its stock price because of rate cuts or possibly retail sales or whatever else, you could see somewhat of a gamma squeeze, because each one of these, that would be 1.5 million shares that market makers would have to cover, and they don't have shares of Lucid readily available, just so you're aware, because typically market makers don't have volatile stocks on hand. So this is why they'd have to go to the open market or possibly just buy calls just to kind of cover that. So that's what this upcoming week looks like. You also have 16,000 at that 250, but I think it's fair to assume that Lucid will be closing above 250. You've seen a kind of an increase in buying coming from entities right here. So these are all the transactions that have been occurring over the last 90 days on the secondary market. So relatively good stuff if you ask me. Dark pool, as usual, very popular. So just anticipate shorts to be very active. So for instance, going over here, if the market is pricing in a 50 basis point cut, but let's say only a 25 does come, then clearly I think the market might be not really pleased with that. So shorts might double down based on that. And plus, you had a lot of analysts recently chattering, saying that, you know what, Powell doesn't have to do anything. He might not actually do any rate cuts. So if that also does happen, then anticipate a very broad market pullback. So that would be kind of crazy if you ask me. But aside from that though, it is going to be more of a technical driven week. No Fed speakers on a side note aside from Powell on the Wednesday. So it is just going to be more technicals on the Thursday and Friday aside from initial jobless claims. But on the actual chart, or actually I'll go over here first. So with it at $3.94, it is trading between the pivot and this R1. So very wide gaps because Lucid has ran up a lot over this last little bit. So $3.79 will be that next strong support. Just watch for that. Luckily enough, it wasn't really tested over the last little bit. Flip side, 409 is going to be the next strong resistance / target. It did bounce off of that on Friday, so it did have a high of 408. So that's going to be a very key pivot for Lucid to get above. So again, kind of just watch for a lot of these, even outside of the first zone right here. Just watch for following ones and whatever else. On the actual chart itself, looking very good. So essentially, what I will zoom in and move this over. So it is higher percentile of the Bollinger Band. Stochastic is very bullish, so white line above the red, so nice deviation. It is somewhat neutral, so not really overbought nor oversold. Number of retail investors oddly have been getting out, so this one is kind of questionable. I'm not really sure why. So if you are part of that group on maybe retail that is selling, let me know your thoughts on why you're selling. Do you think that Lucid is just too high, or what's your viewpoint on that? But generally, Lucid's technicals are looking pretty a-okay. A lot of scary points throughout this last week, so it did cause it to briefly and momentarily get below that 50-day moving average. So if that was to have continued, then you would have saw a very big pullback, but luckily enough, it did fight back. So yeah, I think this week is going to be a very, very interesting week. Again, not because Lucid is going to put out any actual specific news, but because of macro events, which on a side note would be pretty good if you ask me, if Lucid was to put out some news, or maybe do another fireside chat. One thing as well, completely unrelated to this upcoming week though, I just wanted to give a shout out. So someone on StockTwits, somehow I couldn't find that message once again, but He did forward me this video, so it's roughly 55 minutes, I think it's, of that tech event, or whenever, sorry, maybe not. It was just some event clearly Lucid had over this last couple of videos. I did state that Peter, it would be nice if Peter had a Air. He actually does state right here that this, he did speak with Peter, and Peter does have both a Lotus as well as a, I believe he's mentioned a GT. So Lucid CEO does drive a Lucid. So again, I just wanted to clarify. My apologies on that. I was kind of wrong on that. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on Lucid. Where do you guys see things going? Do you think it is going to potentially break above that key 440 mark? Because that seems to be a very big struggle for Lucid. So definitely watch for this R2 to be kind of that make it or break it point, because if it does and is able to get above this R2, then yeah, in theory, Lucid should really move up significantly from here. On the flip side, if the rate cuts don't go according to plan, you might see a retest, possibly pulling back to this S1. So just take it for what you see. If you do believe in Lucid, bigger picture, you'll obviously average down, do what you need to do. I'm not a financial advisor, so do whatever you guys is, what you guys floats your boat and stuff like that. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. One final thing, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for a new account, throw $100 at it, and they give you 5 free stocks. So this is a kick-ass deal, only up until September the 30th, and link to this in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.